You must be careful about the words you use, or the words you allow to be used in your house. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that.
It's time to talk about it.
Pull up a chair and take a seat.
We're serving up recipes for life.
With Hampton University's Dr. Richard Mason and Dr. Tamara Williams.
Welcome to the Sunday Brunch.
This is Dr. Tamara Williams.
And this is Dr. Richard Mason. And welcome back to the table for another edition of Sunday Brunch with the Good Doctors.
The good doctors.
How you doing this morning?
I mean, it's been a challenging week, but I made it to the end of this week. And so I say that I'm doing great.
You know, Thursday was probably the longest day. I felt like Thursday was Thursday-ing, for real.
Did you hear your name a lot?
Listen.
When you know you hear your name a lot, that makes it a day.
Listen, when I tell you, I was just sitting there and I kept looking at the clock. I'm like, it's still 2 o'clock? You know, it's like I couldn't believe it. I just got there, had a light lunch. Didn't do a whole lot for lunch, It was
at least you got to keep it down.
Listen, it was fried chicken day over at the Holly Tree. So if you're ever on campus, stop by that Holly Tree on Thursdays. I'm gonna tell you, get you a little bit of that good fried chicken. But and I don't know if the fried chicken made it a Thursday for me, because it was just a long day.
A lot was probably happening. You need to get to your vacation day.
Yes.
Any day before the day of vacation is the longest day.
Exactly. I was like, this is Friday Eve right here.
Right. That's all that was. You had worked and you had earned your vacation. All of your peers had left the building, and you were feeling the stress.
All by myself.
Yeah.
That was a song. Wasn't that a song?
Yes,
somewhere?
indeed it was. All by myself was indeed a song.
And I felt like that too. But I had some good fried chicken.
Hey.
I did.
And it was no line, because everybody was gone.
See, I'm not gonna talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Because see, you weren't in the line either. But
I won't, because I was off,
listen,
bro.
and the sides were siding. I will say that. The good macaroni and cheese. I felt like going back again, but I said, I'm going to be comatose sitting up in this office if I get another portion.
That's why the day went long.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes that second portion is what gets you.
That's it. That's it right there. You see, I am actually eating some fruit this morning. I know we're here at brunch. I started a little early. The bacon is coming. I already know.
Oh, yeah. I can smell it.
But I wanted to start with some fruit just to kind of wake myself up, because I'm telling you, it has been a week.
Oh, yeah.
Those who are in education know what it means to try to work towards a spring break. You're working towards a goal, and sometimes you throw yourself over that finish line.
Listen, me and my colleagues sat down and we thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. Our next break isn't until Thanksgiving in the grand scheme of things when we look at where we are right now.
The lies you tell.
Because we keep going. Yeah. We got to keep going at this point. My next break is Thanksgiving.
I'm for our 9-month employees. We'll be out in May. we push into May. You go ahead and with your dedicated service. I would say this, that the work never stops. It's just in how you have decided to contract how you're going to work. Because even if those of us off, the work never stops. But I mentally tell myself I work and operate in a different type of mindset during those hours and during those months of the year. I give myself more grace than I normally would, because I'm typically pushing much harder during the school year. So
I understand. Well, I'm just looking forward to Turkey Day.
Hey,
turkey shouldn't be bacon, but they can be a good day off. You know what I'm saying?
Let me encourage you to find some space way before then, because that is too long.
Oh, I will.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you know I will. I have to take care of myself.
You do. Self-care is not selfish.
That's the biggest piece.
Mental health days are important.
Oh yeah, and that's for me, because if I don't, there's no telling what you're gonna get. So
what comes up may come out.
Hey, and it does. It does.
That's what I wanted us to talk about today while we're still here in Women's History Month. we have been very cautious to bring in women to have conversations. But while we were right here in this month, I wanted to have that conversation about a lot of times women end up taking on quite a bit. We've had conversations before about us putting on capes and wanting to save the world and not really taking care of ourselves. One of the conversations that I wanted us to have today is that we have to find, even when we're in the midst of things going on, we have to find the joy. We have to find joy somewhere to balance out all the other things that are happening. And as I like to say, sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying.
That's very true. And it's one of those things while you're going through things, you know, we have the tendency to make things look easy. And so it causes others not to check on us. You know, because they
Check
look
on your strong friend.
Exactly. And they think that we're doing okay, but in the midst of, you know, they may not understand the storm that's going on inside.
Thank God we don't look like what we've been through.
Amen. Amen. That's all I'm
Because
saying.
the targets come for the ones at the top, I promise you. That's where they aim at.
You know I know. But as they say, I'm going to keep soaring like an eagle.
Hey.
Because the buzzards can't fly that high.
Hey, let me tell you, nobody passes in that regard. You're going to have to put in the work to get there for sure. You got to have your own identification when it's time to fly.
Exactly. That's what you got to do.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, I'm going to fly right on over to that buffet line because I see they done put that fresh bacon on out there. So
You already know.
honey butter and biscuits. I got
Thank
you covered.
And
All
a little
right.
bit of bacon, a little bit of bacon.
See you back in a minute.
Thank you, bro. I want to welcome to Sunday Brunch for the first time and probably not the last time, Shantae Newby. I want to welcome Shantae Newby, who is a local comedian, but that's not all that she is. But we'll talk about a little bit about how she jumped into comedy, how maybe laughing keeps you from crying.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this delicious brunch. I am so excited to be here.
All right.
I have to admit, though, you made me a little nervous when you said your next break is Thanksgiving. I'm like, wait a minute, turkey? Wait about the fried fish in the summer?
I know,
crabs.
right?
What?
Please talk about the crabs right here in our community.
All right. Now I'm gonna get those too, but
Okay.
see, I'm just talking about a break.
Okay.
You know, break that I don't have to use my own time.
Okay. Oh, your own
That
time.
part.
Okay.
That part.
Okay. The paid break.
No, yeah,
Right,
the one we
right.
don't have to put in no paperwork for.
Exactly. Because we all gone.
Hey, that part.
That's good.
But
Okay.
now
Like
you
I
are
said.
essential. You hear that?
Yeah, essential.
Essential.
Those pieces to the puzzle.
Ooh. There's some people who have to stay when everybody else has to go. And there's sometimes you need people to go so that you can keep people to stay.
So I get rid of the non-essentials.
So that you can keep people to stay, you know.
Oh boy.
You need that balance.
That's a whole word right there. That's a whole word. Let me write that down. I'm gonna slip my pastor that note. This is a whole word right here. You might want to preach on this one.
Hey, it will preach. It will preach. Sometimes you need to clear out the room so you can get the job done.
I believe it.
Because everybody can't be in your business.
Exactly. And the reality is, there are people who are truly out of line and don't understand their non-alignment. You know, and when you're trying to take care of situations, even in a caregiver situation, we always want family around and stuff like that. But sometimes it might be even best that they're not around. You know, that's the reality of it, because you have those family members that sometimes create those conflicts that are unnecessary.
I agree. I have to admit, I believe the same thing as you do, because if it's just you as the caregiver, you're the only one making decisions. I don't have to discuss with you and wait for you to decide what's best. So I'm a caregiver for my father. He's a vet.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Thank
and
him for his service. Yes.
I will do that, and he's part of my stand-up too.
All right.
He gives me a lot of material.
Listen.
Oh my gosh, he does.
Now that's a word right there. How you have to be able to laugh at your own circumstances sometimes in order to make it through.
Yes.
To find the humor in that. Now, does your father know that you're using him in in your stand-up? Has he heard your stand-up?
He was worried about that at first. So he was like,
Nobody wants to be the butt of the joke.
No,
literally.
they don't.
Nobody safe. Nobody safe.
He's funny himself.
Oh.
He makes me laugh a lot. And so he was kind of worried because then he starts, because what happens in when you tell someone that you're a comedian, your life with them flashes before their eyes. Oh my God.
Right.
All the stuff she's seen.
She could tell.
She could tell.
Right.
Exactly.
See something, say something.
Right. Listen.
But I like what you said, though, as far as being a caregiver, and I'm a person that has a lot to do. What comedy has done for me, it has forced me to look for something funny every day. I find the humor in some of the stuff that people wouldn't find funny, but I need it.
Yes, indeed.
It's self-care, actually.
Yes.
As a caregiver.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
absolutely is self-care. You have got to laugh in some of the situations that you find yourself in.
Absolutely.
The ones that I would personally run from.
But that's real. That's the only way to survive certain situations.
It is.
You follow me? I always look at humor in certain situations almost like you do when you're actually like in a car accident. Your body automatically shuts down. That adrenaline rushes through everything or whatever, and it shuts your system down so you don't feel that pain. And sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying. And so when you're dealing with certain situations, finding the humor and stuff. I often hear people always tell me, Doc, you're always smiling, you're always happy. No, I just choose happiness.
Conscious.
You don't know what's behind the smile.
Exactly.
really
Happiness is a choice,
It is
We
that.
go through things just like everyone else. And especially being in situations of being a caregiver. That is definitely a challenge.
It is.
So
Do you have siblings?
I do.
And so, do you have a brother?
I do.
Okay. So,
Well, my brother, though, in his defense, he lives on the West Coast. So.
okay. That's what, that's a question that often comes up when it comes to caregiving, like who ends up being the one who steps in to do that. Oftentimes it is daughters. It is women. And that's one of the things that women take on or feel we nurture. So
My father actually said that to his friends. He's like, I hope you all take care of your daughters because those are the ones that's going to be looking out for you. He knows for sure. So, but it's also one of those things that even though, it's my father, I couldn't imagine anyone else doing it. Like who else is going to look out for him? Like I said, he's a veteran. Anybody who's dealt with the VA, it's a little complicated. So I couldn't imagine him having to go through the things that he would have to if I wasn't around. So I enjoyed looking out for him. I had a moment yesterday. We went out to one of his appointments, and I think it was on one of your shows. I can't remember where I heard about being present, right? And we were walking through the VA, and I just paused, and I'm like, I almost had a tear in my eye because I looked forward, like, what if he wasn't here? And it made me sad, but I was like, I'm so glad that I'm doing this with him. His doctor's appointments and stopping to get stuff to eat and just being able to look out for him. And, people think it's stressful. It is stressful, but it is a privilege. And it's an honor to be able to say you've done that.
Yes.
And I'm valuing that time.
Especially when you look at the relationship and if you've had a situation, sometimes even if you didn't, had a situation where they took care of you, and they were always there. One of my first experiences with my grandmother, as she was aging, and I would come home and stop by the house and stuff like that or whatever. And my grandmother was, she was up early in the morning. Breakfast was ready by 8:00. The kitchen shut down at 8. The kitchen shut down at 8:30. You know what I mean? And I mean all of the dishes washed, sink cleared, stove wiped off and stuff like that or whatever. And I'll tell you, one time
that's the plastic couch grandma.
Oh yes, yeah, you know that.
Now.
Yeah. When I was home visiting once, and I saw there were crumbs on the stove, and there were a few dishes in the sink. It really took me to a place of thinking, my grandmother's aging.
Yes.
Something is going on around here.
Yes, because that wasn't her.
Right.
And so I just think back, and I was sharing this, probably about a few months ago with someone, when you start really thinking about life, and the circle and the cycle of life, that was probably one of my most memorable moments of having that kind of thought in my mind. You know, like I said, my grandmother was aging at that point, and she wasn't herself. You know, but just moving forward, you know, fast forwarding the situation of having to take care of her, you know, it was a blessing. We all truly were able to come together,
Right.
you know, to make decisions and do things like that. So yeah. So how is it with your brother being on the West Coast for you and you being here? Now, is that your only sibling, first of all?
No, I have this is actually part of my stand-up. I have an interesting family dynamic.
Okay.
So,
See, you notice you started by laughing.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you know, you have to. You have
She's
to.
like, okay, it's interesting. Why she's here?
I'm the only child between my mother and father.
Okay.
Right? So then when people are like, oh, you got like how many siblings? I have like 2 brothers and 1 sister. Like, your parents were busy. I'm like, yeah, not with each other though.
Right.
You know? So
Now there's the comedy. right.
right. So just the relationship is a little different. My brother was raised in California. So he's not really as involved. It's just me. I have a little sister here. They have an interesting dynamic. I just take the lead. So I'm just the one. I'm the go-to.
Were you raised with your father?
So my parents got divorced. So
Okay.
I was raised with my mom. My dad, yeah, he's been around, but separate houses.
Okay.
So yeah. So
And you're
I'm the
married.
daddy's girl.
Oh, you
Okay.
are a daddy's girl.
I'm a daddy's girl. Yeah, I am. You know, we laughed yesterday actually about things that he's done. So you see, I'm wearing a Harley Davidson shirt, so I ride motorcycles because of him. When I was 2, this man used to do pop wheelies down the street with his 2-year-old holding on to the handlebars.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah, scared my mom to death.
And everybody else who had
And
to
everybody
ride.
else. But you know what this 2-year-old said? Do it again.
Yay, daddy, yay. No.
And the neighbor was on
Without
the
a
phone
helmet.
calling
Yeah.
CPS.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, without a helmet.
I
Because they don't
remember
make them that
it. No,
small.
actually, I did. I remember it was a sparkly helmet. It was big, though. It was
See,
big.
that's what I'm
And I
saying.
just
It didn't
remember
fit.
being in between his arms.
Oh my. He's
Wow.
like, you gonna ride this bike.
You gonna, hey. And I was like, do it again,
You
Dad.
feel
I
that
asked
excitement,
for it.
so you like the excitement.
Oh, I love it. It's self-care. I mean, if you know how to ride and you enjoy it, that wind is very therapeutic.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I was on a motorcycle one time in life, and I promised God, if He delivered me, that I shall not, will not, and won't
Well, I'm glad
get on another. And He was a
delivered
faithful
you.
father
Okay.
in His delivery.
Hey,
And I thank Him.
I've had long conversations with him on that motorcycle, though.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Yeah.
it's me and him.
And that's the best thing about, you know, what works for one person. You can share what works for you because it could work for somebody else.
Absolutely.
But if it doesn't work for somebody, there's other things that you can share. Laughter, we can meet in that regard. Laughter works. Like we find the humor.
Oh, you have to.
We find the humor in so many situations. Sometimes we create the humor
Oh, you have to.
to make a long day a shorter day. I don't like extreme sports. So,
Okay.
you know, so I went parasailing one time
Noted.
in life, and God and I, we had that same conversation in the sky. I said, Jesus is not a plane, and so if you land me safely,
Yeah. And see, I don't get that. People always talk about going skydiving and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And for the life of me, I can't understand. Why would you jump out of a perfectly good plane?
it's nothing wrong with the plane.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
should I not admit that I did that?
Of course, we know you have. We can see it in you.
But you know
say
what?
You like to live on the edge a little bit. You like that wind in your hair.
I do.
It speaks to you as therapeutic,
I
and
do.
so you would be more one of those personalities who would enjoy being on the stage. You know, sharing those aspects about your life because that's part of that excitement. Doesn't mean that's all
Right.
you are, but that's just a piece of what makes you feel like you're alive.
Tara, you know what, though? You would find it very interesting. I'm a shy person.
That's what I know.
So
I
getting
believe
on the
it to be so.
stage, my family and friends are like, who is that up there?
Does it feel free to you when you up there?
It does.
See, that's what I'm
It's an
telling.
alter ego. I
See,
feel
that's
like
what I'm trying to say.
it's that ego, whatever on my left or right shoulder, that just pushes me into the pool.
It's that little girl in that helmet that's a little bit too big.
Right.
And too riding on that motorcycle. That's what it feels like.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
And people think that just because someone's an introvert, that they don't have any extroverted ways. That is, would it shock you to know that I too am an introvert? See,
Really?
I am that.
And me too.
See what I'm saying? We enjoy small numbers.
I do.
And now you see us.
Yeah.
Now you don't.
Large numbers drain me.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
The anxiety comes along with that. And so we can do extroverted things.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that's our natural default setting.
Yeah, you're right. That actually, my husband actually brought it up to me about, I think it was last year sometime. And he was like, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Do you think you're an introvert?" And I paused because I said, "You know what? If you would have asked me this a couple of years ago, I would have been offended. Like, what do you mean I'm an introvert? I'm outgoing." I said, "But you know what? I am." He said, "I read some things about it and some of the characteristics that you have, you're an introvert." I said, "But what happens though is people can't tell. Because we adapt to our surroundings. And that's as a person that does a lot of stuff, you got to adapt and overcome. So if I got to stand in a crowd, I'm going to stand in a crowd. I'm going to hate it.
I'm going to be there for as long as
Right,
it's necessary.
as long as it's necessary. Right. So that was definitely some increased self-awareness for me. And
I'm happy all by myself.
I don't mind being by myself.
That's the
Girl,
sign
when
of an
COVID
introvert.
hit and they said you can't go
somebody.
outside, I was like, yes.
I said, thank you, Jesus, for a timeout. That was a break on somebody else's time.
Right? Not having to be fully dressed, you know?
Fully present.
Right?
Absolutely.
I looked like professional on the top, homeless on the bottom. I mean, it was awesome.
Let me tell you how I thrived during COVID. Some people were surviving. I was thriving.
I
Even
agree.
though I made best professor this year, I made best professor during COVID. I was happy. You understand me?
Congratulations
All of
on
us
that.
students. I was like, welcome to class. Welcome to class. Raise your hand if you can hear me. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, you made it fun.
What? We had a great time. Their parents were coming to class. I was having to tell people, "What? That's your grandmama back there. What is going on?" They were like, they want to contribute to class too. Dr. Williams, can they talk? I'm like, oh my word, this is a family class.
Because you was in your element at home.
Listen here, we was having a good time.
Okay.
We had because, like you said, just laughing and making it through the circumstances. My goal was still to make sure they had the information, and we had some things that were not funny that was going on outside, but we needed to be able to still smile because I felt like people struggled to socially connect with people during that time. And laughter is a way, it's a language too that you can kind of connect with other people. So I just encouraged them. We had mental check-ins. Tell me how you feeling today. Tell me the truth, and we had to laugh about some of those things. Because what else were you going to do about it? It was well outside of their control. I may see you again. I may not.
Right. Listen.
That's facts.
That's not funny, Doctor. I said, but it is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's make the most of the time that we do have.
COVID really brought us to a place of dealing with our own immortality. Because it was something that you really didn't understand.
And we still catching it.
Yeah, but you know what? Somebody was just talking about COVID the other day. He was like, is it still a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Been a thing, gonna be a thing.
Exactly.
It's less of a thing though now. Now it's, have you seen the guidance? It's like now they're not even making you isolate anymore. It's weird. I don't know. I'm not even going to dig into that.
I think that's some strange science.
It's so many days, like the number of days have decreased. I read something where if a child has it, they have 3 days. If an adult, I'm like, why does children have less days than the adult?
Right.
Child got to go to school so the mama can go to work. That's what that is.
Listen, we had to deal with a whole lot of that.
And they think children recoup quicker.
Like dogs.
Right.
They think so.
Right.
However,
Exactly.
children spread things.
Yes.
And
Super
those who work
spreaders.
in those school systems,
Yes.
that children are little spreaders.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Mini spreaders.
We love our germ-filled friends, and that's why
That's
you
a yes,
always
yeah.
we all hand sanitizer and Lysol, spray them down.
Every day. All day.
Do we still
Especially-
have the 3 cough maximum? Like if somebody coughs too many times, are you giving them the Ike Turner eyes? Like,
Send them home. Send them home. My folks know when you cough or sneeze one too many times, I spray you down and send you home.
I have allergies, man.
Listen, you can be allergic at home, all right?
I'm going to tell you, my classroom is intimate. My classroom, I keep my numbers such that they can have those type of intimate conversations in my classrooms. And so if you get to coughing, you definitely got to go because you affecting the whole family. You know, so and most of the students are very mindful. They want to be in class, but they will say that this is going on because everybody knows everybody in this classroom essentially. So we gonna say you did it,
Right, exactly.
So we try to take care of each other within reason.
And you have to be careful because, of course, like your situation being a caregiver, you just can't take that stuff back home.
Right.
You know? And so how was that during COVID for you, you know, being a caregiver for your dad?
Oh,
And being married. 'Cause
And being married, yes. So the husband is very supportive. My dad
Obviously.
loves him like he's his own son. To the
Really?
point where he can go see him and do stuff without me. Or if I show up without him, where's Mike? Where's your husband? I'm like, what about me? I'm here. He'll be here later.
So he likes him.
He loves him.
Yeah.
Loves him. He has been indoctrinated into the family. So, you know, he can't go anywhere. I can't get rid of him. He has to stay because the family loves him. I love him too, though. So. But
I'm glad you do.
Of course. That's my buddy. We're like best friends. If you ever heard us talking to each other, you're like, are they married? Or, you know, so, but he's my buddy. That's my buddy. But as far as COVID and being a caregiver, I was one of those people that was against the vaccine at first. And it was only when I thought about being a caregiver, if something happened to me, who's going to take care of him? And then secondly, I thought about how I went to the doctor not too long before that. They told me I needed whooping cough or something, and I let them inject me. I didn't even think nothing of it. I was like, all right, cool. So why was I cool with that? But then, you know, with COVID, yeah. So that vaccine discussion I know is huge, but at the time, being a caregiver was really one of the motivators that made me get vaccinated, whatever it would take to protect me so I can continue to care for him and, you know, be there for my mom and stuff too. So.
Well, see, I tell folks, you know, I was one of those folks who had COVID.
Oh.
And it was bad.
Early on.
Yeah.
Early on.
And this was before the vaccine was
You had
available.
the original one.
Oh, yes. And it kicked my butt. When I tell you I was laid in bed for about 8 days, you know, getting up out of bed, I literally crawled to the bathroom, crawled back to the bed. You
His
know.
breathing was terrible during that time.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And so what really made me get up, I had to make that choice.
Yes.
Because my wife brought me some food one day and she just looked at me and I was like, oh, Lord, she's looking at me like I'm dying.
Right.
You know? And I was
Kelly gave you that look.
she gave me that look like I was dying. I said,
Lord
no.
have mercy.
I said, take the food downstairs. I'm coming downstairs. So I literally crawled downstairs, sat at the table, ate, sat downstairs for a couple of hours and crawled back upstairs.
Couldn't taste nothing you ate.
Not a thing, but I was eating. That was it, you know.
Right.
My mother-in-law kept sending messages. Get up out the bed, walk. They
Yeah,
said
you
if
gotta
walk,
keep moving.
Yeah, if you keep moving, you walk. You know, walking will do good. I had some friends that were sending messages and stuff. You know,
He was trying to go to church, and I told this dude, I said, "You will not go up in there."
You better go to the church of
That's
YouTube.
but you
What?
Well, no, that's when you need Jesus. That's what he was saying.
I needed the oil and the altar. You know what I'm saying?
Look, you better go to Facebook
Listen.
church. You got
And that's
COVID.
when we
What's
started
going
moving
on?
into those aspects because
Yes.
that's what ended up happening.
Right.
People realized that it was just no longer physically safe to be physically
Correct.
together.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, COVID was no
Yeah,
joke.
it
I
was
remember
rough.
I had my bout with it, and
Yeah.
it wasn't half as bad as yours. But I do recall being in a meeting, and I told one of the ladies, I said, "I only have 1 hour good of in me," and literally, I went to sleep for 2 days after that.
Yes. You're
And you have
exhausted.
trouble speaking. COVID fog,
The brain
forgetting.
fog, yes.
Like I had a tear in my eye when I couldn't remember what I was going to say because I was like, "This is scary." So
Yeah.
yeah.
I have had that experience with the fog, and if you're a person in education, that is very scary. As you're in the middle of a plant, I've learned that I use visuals more
Yes.
than I used to before to make sure that I'm staying on track too, because you can go to tangents all over the place if you're not literally focused,
Right. Yeah.
and you can forget things. And some of us say that, well, it's just aging. Like, that's just a part of that. But I really do think COVID played a part in that.
It did. And information overload. I mean,
Right.
you sound like a person that's managing a lot. And that's what happens, Stuff gets
Right.
mixed up in there.
As my seniors will say, does COVID bring on Alzheimer's? And I was like,
Oh my goodness. Glad it was temporary.
right,
Good Lord.
exactly.
Look, it might. that's the thing about things. They're still researching
Yes.
things. We still
Yes.
have to figure out these long-term effects of things. We don't know.
We don't know.
It hasn't been long enough. People still have COVID.
Exactly. So I'm really, in terms of the caregiving piece, because there are a lot of our listeners out there, and we get the questions all the time, just in terms of talking about being there. What do you do for yourself in terms of managing, some of the stress? It's a joy, as we said, an honor and a joy to be there for someone,
Right.
but it still can be a stressful situation. So how do you manage that for yourself?
Absolutely. So first off, I want to clarify, like with caregiving, there's definitely different levels, right? And, when I tell people I'm caregiving, they first go to, well, are you bathing him and feeding him? And you're doing, it's not to that level. He takes care of himself physically. He feeds himself, does everything like that. I handle him administratively, make sure he gets to his doctor's appointments and medications. It's still a lot of work because you're managing another person's life, right?
And especially the medications. If they don't want to take it, they want to take it the way they want to take it.
Are they remembering to take it?
Oh, I have a system. He has alarms on his phone reminding him when to take certain things. They're organized. I have it set up for like a month, literally at a time. And he's gotten to the point where he cares so much. He's like, all right, Shantae, I'm down to my last week now. Are you going to replenish my stuff? And I'm glad that he got to that point, because that means that he knows that
He's
it's
aware.
important to him.
Yeah.
Right. His health is important. It's a priority for him. I need it to be a priority for him. I can fuss, cuss.
All right, those are those weekend
Right,
words.
those weekend words.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Fuss and everything. But if you don't want to do this, it's on you.
You can't make them.
Right. So, as far as like, what do I do for myself? I talk about caregiving and self-care a lot. Self-care doesn't have to be something extravagant like taking a vacation, right? You can have those moments. I like sitting on a park bench and having ice cream. Like, it's just me and the ice cream for 10, 15 minutes, thinking about stuff.
What flavor?
Really?
Because that's important.
Okay, so we're going to judge me on how I say the word. Butter, pecan, or pecan.
That's all right. No judgment. That's all
What do
right.
they have here at this brunch? What we calling it here? Pecan or pecan? And I like cookies and cream. I love coffee ice cream. She said,
I was there until you got to 3.
coffee ice cream was like the gateway to coffee. But anyways. But yeah, doing things like that for myself. Sitting back and watching mindless TV.
There's a lot of it out
Judging
there.
all the reality characters.
Yes.
You know?
There's a lot of it
It's
out
a lot.
there. You have a lot of comedy that you can put together from that
Folks look at
alone.
me and say, you watch some of that reality?
Yes.
I do.
It's mindless.
Yes,
I love it.
I do. I love to watch the chaos in someone else's life.
Yes.
That does not
Yes.
exist in mine. Thank you, Jesus.
Like to watch TV where it gives you a little crinkle in between your nose. You're looking at them like, how in the world?
Yes.
Did you just really?
It's exactly.
Right. You can put your judgy mask on and it's okay.
Right.
Because you've invited me into your life with all this foolishness. And yes, I'm going to judge
And I'm going to judge you. You have given me permission to talk about
Oh, my word,
you.
those poor stars.
And they are.
They knew what it was when they signed up, but still.
Exactly.
That's what comes with the territory.
Right. As if the camera's not going to catch him in a lie later. I
yeah.
never said such and such. Boop. And
Rewind.
Rewind.
Pan to 3 weeks ago. She said da-da-da.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
That trips
you,
me out
You
of-
should see his face right now. He is thoroughly enjoying this moment as if he's replaying this in his mind. You can see it in your
He's
head right
speaking
now.
straight facts though, because
Yes.
when they have these moments and then like they're like, I never said that. I'm like, do you understand? There's cameras,
Right. That the cameras are walking with you daily.
right? Right.
Well, we haven't had a show on pathological lying.
Oh,
But that's what people who lie do. They don't, they
don't even realize they lying.
It's better to tell the truth because it's easier to remember.
Listen, my grandmother
true. That is true.
and her thing was tell the truth, baby. You know,
Shame the devil. Yeah, just tell the truth. Shame the
It
devil.
uses less brain cells.
exactly. She said, because you're not gonna remember all of that. She said, trying to keep up with who did what. If it's the truth, you're gonna know it.
It's going to come right to you.
But you got some people that are good at it though.
There's some people who lie so much they convince themselves that
There you
is
go.
indeed the truth.
That's true.
But the other people who were present, the videos can attest for it. Doesn't a lie? Don't care who tell it.
Right.
I know what you're saying.
Okay,
Right.
I know I heard you say such a. Let me back up and
Exactly.
double check.
eyes have not deceived me.
Right.
Right. And social media is making that even hard for liars, right? I mean, it's like everybody got doorbell cameras. Everybody
what I'm
got a
telling
camera
you.
phone. You will show up in the background of somebody's picture. You're like, yeah, I wasn't at that restaurant.
Everything.
Right.
Zoom in.
You do on your phone. They can get your coordinates
Yes.
of where you are, how long you've been in different places. Hello,
Yes.
somebody. So we are tracked. Your car tells it. My watch tells me
Who you
where my
telling?
car is parked.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Apple has something where
We're
it's
linked.
prompting you on your journal. We noticed you were at the gym today. Maybe you want to write about that. You're like,
Here. When I go places, it knows my schedule.
Right.
It already pulls up on map where I'm headed because it knows this is the day that you typically do this type of
Exactly.
activity.
You're headed to Hampton University. I'm not going there today. You see?
Okay, you said spring break and I'm off, but it's telling you that you got some work to do. So it's not we. Even when we think we're living to ourselves, we're living amongst everybody
Everything.
else.
You're on your
Nothing
own
you
reality
say
show.
or do is you have to be cautious. You are on somebody's camera at some point in time. People are taking selfies and recording wherever they are at this point. Somebody will find you.
Yes, they're taking pictures of their meals, like this brunch. I'm sure it's going to be pictures of the pancakes and the waffles. And then you might see me with my mouth chewing and stuff in the background. And I'm trying to deny that I wasn't here, you know.
They were there. I saw them with the microphones and everything. They trying to figure out what's that all about.
Listen, let that be a note for those who out there even creeping and everything else. You will. Nothing goes on in the dark that don't come to light.
You better be where you're supposed to be.
That's right.
We have locations that are out there that people have shared. They forgot that they have shared locations.
Listen, back to grandma. She would always say, what doesn't come out in the wash, you certainly going to catch it in the rinse.
There it is. It's going to be found out. It's going to be found out. I want to ask you before we get too far, because I know that you also do voiceovers. And so that is a world that a lot of people have witnessed and heard but not known how to actually get into. So how did you come about that? Even like you're from this area, what school did you go to?
for
what's
voiceovers?
what's your degree in?
Okay.
Tell the people.
Oh, I got to
to
run it down because I'm sitting at the table with two
Run it
doctors. So I'll start with the school stuff and I'll get to the voiceover. So I went to the College of William and Mary for undergraduate.
Start with the high school.
Oh, high school. So we moved a lot. So I went to two high schools.
Okay.
I went to Phoebus.
Okay.
And I went to Hampton.
Okay,
right.
so she was in Hampton City School.
I was in Hampton City Schools. Hampton City Schools actually all through elementary, middle school, and high school. I went to 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 2 high schools.
Oh, okay. You saw all parts of the city.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Shout out to HCS.
HCS, exactly. And, being from Hampton, just to make a little joke about it, when I moved to Northern Virginia, I would always confuse people when I talk about HU. I was like, yeah, I lived up the street from HU. They're like, Howard? I'm like, no.
The real HU.
Hampton. I'm not getting into that with you because I'm not trying to get in a fight in the parking lot after this conversation.
Everybody around here already knows.
Listen. You act like you know. I'm going to tell you right now.
Your book.
Pirates eat bison. That's all I'm going to say.
Too funny. So after that, worked in corporate America. I did a really good job. I got blessed with getting the opportunity to go to graduate school to get my master's in business administration. So I did that at the University of Maryland, College Park. And then eventually I retired.
Okay.
See, that's the nice way. I got laid off.
Okay. She's a real young to be retired.
But
I said, Father God, bless me while you're
You know
blessing
what?
others.
Right.
I took it as retirement because this is a true story. When I got the news that this was happening and I was driving home, a voice said, retire. We know who the voice was. I was a little confused though, because I'm like, I am only 40 years old. Like, this is the math ain't mathing.
I ain't in the military, Jesus. You know,
Right.
they
I can't
retired.
hit the 401k until I'm like 59. Like, what we doing, Lord? So, retire. And so when I got laid off, I retired, I just decided to go with it. I'm not working in corporate America anymore. I'm not working the 40 plus hours a week anymore. So this was my opportunity to try different things. Voiceovers was one. So I kept hearing that I had a nice voice. Some people said I worked. They said, do you do like the phone? Y'all know I'm not. Can I talk? I don't even want to say the detail, but y'all can imagine. They said, you sound like one of those phone people. And I'm
Them
like,
evening voices.
yeah, one of them evening
Oh,
voices.
All right.
So then I was like, can I make money? And did a little research. Fast forward at my premarital counseling. I don't know how he and I got in this conversation. Me and the pastor.
I'm trying to figure out myself
Listen.
how
Exactly.
these two things link together.
Listen,
Exactly.
I done put my bacon down. I'm trying.
I know. I done turned it up in here. Don't let your food get cold now. Go ahead and keep eating
We
now.
want to make sure we don't spit out our food.
Let me put this fork down.
Bro, please. Woo, time out. Okay.
But no, people would comment about how nice my voice was. So the pastor of the premarital counseling, I think I mentioned like, oh, that's kind of cool. He actually emailed me and sent me a class to do professional voiceovers. He's like, I noticed you said that, you're interested in this. You were curious. It's a class in DC to see what you think about it. And I was like, is that easy? So I took the class. They checked my...
preacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't about... No, he wasn't in the conversation about the phone voice. That was
Okay.
people at work.
Oh,
Thank you.
But I had...
okay.
See, I know.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Now, is
Lord.
that the church or is that the church? You know what I'm saying?
That's
Which
not the
Is
church.
it?
I just made a joke about that to him, but he said, you do have a nice voice. Like, it's professional and stuff. But you can do this professionally. Took the class. They checked my voice out. I signed up for more coaching and never looked back. And so I've been doing voiceovers now for about 7 years. Commercials, trainings. I'm in some video games, some children's games on emotional intelligence and stuff. Y'all don't want to laugh at this, but I'm the voice on a psychic network.
What?
Yeah, I just do the. You know how the phone when you call to pay a
Find out
bill.
we got Miss Cleo sitting
I
right here.
no, call me now. No, don't call me now for your free reading. No, we don't do that. I am the voice that tells you how much money you have on your account, or to listen to all your options. Press 9,
Lord
like
Jesus.
that voice.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to share stuff like that
you
here?
are doing exactly as you should. When I tell you, we never know what kind of conversation we're going to have at Sunday brunch.
I'm sorry.
What are you apologizing for? I love the way you show up in life. And
That is
other people
funny.
need to know that that's an option.
Right.
And see that. Everything is lining up right into your gift, comedy. You see that he is
Lord.
laughing thoroughly, and you're not even trying to be funny. Like she's
Lord.
just trying to say,
Right.
It's life. I
Right.
know. It's life. But the voiceover work, I love it. I love doing it. I love just being impactful. I
You
noticed
took a class though, so you went to school, got an undergraduate degree, got a master's degree, and then
Completely
the
left.
straight pivot,
Yes.
a
Right.
straight pivot into something that you took a class for. Was it like a one-time class, a couple?
It was coaching for about 6 or 7 months.
Okay,
But you know what, though, Dr. Tamara? I feel like, though, everything that I've done, it feeds into it. Right? So
Yeah.
even though it's voiceovers, you're like, oh my God, you went to school for IT and all these other things. When I had to make a presentation,
It
I
all
had to
lined up
deliver it.
together.
It all
Yeah.
lined up together. Exactly. Everything that I've done in the past 25 years is feeding into what I'm doing today.
Well, see, that's a clear example of what I always tell people. You never know what God has for your life. And sometimes
preparing you for.
Exactly. Things will pop up and it's like, well, what is that all about?
Exactly.
But guess what? He knows down the road that you're going to need certain things.
Yep.
You know,
I
and the
agree.
fact that you were able to look at, because life is about perspective, and really still understanding whose you are. And when you have that mindset of God, He has me, I saw that in you when you said, hey, I just took a pivot and said, oh, I'm being laid off. This is retirement. Let me
Right.
figure out what I'm going to
now
do.
that is a way to spin it.
Yes.
It is.
Because let me tell you, my stomach would not have reached to this. But also, you are married, so you share that you have, those type of supports, and then you find other ways to be able to reinvent yourself.
Yes. Yes.
But everybody does not, see things in that way, and so that is, God blessed you
Yes.
to be able to find the humor and to think outside of. Well, my brother doesn't even like boxes, but to be able to think outside of those areas that people would try to normally, put you in and tell you how you should feel about
Yeah.
something. That's a blessing.
But you know what, though, too? It all goes back to values, too, right? I was in this place and I saw a sign that said, what are your values? I have values that I make all my decisions based on those, and I call them my ifs. Impact, fun, service. Am I making an impact? Am I having fun? And am I being of service?
I'm with that.
Yeah.
See, I'm with that.
So even with comedy, I feel like I'm definitely having fun.
Yeah.
Impact, someone said they weren't having a good day and they enjoyed my set. So I'm making an impact. I'm being of service to you too, right? So everything that I'm doing, anytime someone asks me something, hey, I have to put it up against my values. Like, is it going to meet at least 2 out of 3 of these? Because if it's not, I got to say no. And no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
It is. We have discussed that.
Yes.
And it does not require an explanation.
Right. So yeah, that's what the voiceovers and the comedy stuff kind of happened similarly. I went to a comedy show and I just remember talking to my daughter and I was like, you know what? I would like to take a class. I wish there was a class on comedy. And seriously, we looked around and there was a poster that said there was a class. And I was like, I'm going to try it. Took the class. The instructor, he is amazing. Like, he put us through the ringer. And something I enjoyed doing. I didn't think I would be able to do it, but
tell people how they can see you in comedy.
How they can see me. So I'm local because I have to confess, I'm getting in my own way. I have been. I've been, making myself step back because of fear. But lately, I've been doing local shows in the area, like at George Restaurant. I do some of the open mics in the local area. There's some stuff that's going on in Newport News. It was at a Tailored Cigar Lounge.
Yeah, Tailored Smoke. Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful facility, by the way. Beautiful location. So just local stuff, and I post it on my Facebook page when I want people to come see me. Because I'm scared. Sometimes I don't share it.
Yeah.
You got to put it out there.
I believe that.
Right.
Because, like I said, new to the comedy thing, like this is something you're learning to step into.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you to this show, because a lot of people think that you can only be one thing or you can only be that thing that you always wanted to be. But there's new things that you can step into and truly enjoy. So I'm hoping that you will continue to enjoy laughing from the circumstances, because life is going to keep life.
Oh, it is.
And we need you to help us laugh.
Oh, absolutely. I will take that assignment.
That's
part of my assignment.
It's a service. It's a service that, people need to appreciate. That is a service because you don't always feel like laughing.
Right. That is true.
Yeah.
You don't always feel, when we get contracted to talk to people, we don't always feel like talking. We have to go alter egos too. We have to, even when it's time for brunch, it's never been a time that I've not wanted to spend time with my brother or dine with my brother.
Right.
But sometimes we're tired too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we pretend like we not.
Yeah. Sometimes you have a stomach ache. You're like, but I'm going to eat this good food right now. I'm going to be miserable.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that.
I know the cost.
Smile and grin, and I'm gonna pass the plate.
Right, exactly. But that's the thing, as a caregiver and the work that you're doing for other people is recognizing that your life is going to continue to life.
Yes.
When my mother passed away, it was like I dealt with that, but I still had to see my patients. I still had to work with my students and stuff like that or whatever. And it was one of those things people were like, you're handling grief so well. It's like, you just don't know.
They don't know when it gets quiet and nobody else is around. That thing is heavy.
Exactly. And talking about the whole grief aspect with people and trying to walk people through that, grief shows up, and
random times.
Exactly. I share with folks from time to time, just being in Walmart. Pepsi was my mother's thing.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, that woman loved the Pepsi. You hear what I say? Even in the hospital,
I choose it over Coke.
She was like, she wanted a Pepsi. It was like, you can't drink Pepsi. It's like, just drink all you want. But I remember standing in Walmart. And just standing at the, at the checkout line, how they have things at the end caps and all. There were Pepsis. I just kind of glanced, and the tears just began to roll down my face. And I didn't give the ugly cry. I just, it was just a moment. It was just a subtle moment of wow. I thought about my mom.
Grief doesn't make an advanced appointment. I mean, sounds like
it is so disrespectful. It shows up unannounced.
I got stuff to do.
Got your hair bonnet on, you are not ready for company, and here comes grief. Right. And then when you think you have served grief and sent grief out its door, grief will return once again unannounced. Like you said, you're just in Walmart trying to make it through the day, grab a few things, and here comes a memory. I can tell you that even with the loss of my mother, what I'm thankful now with is that when it shows up, it doesn't always show up with sadness
Right.
any longer. It took a long time to get to that, but now sometimes when the memories pop up, it comes with a smile, like, girl, you was funny when you said that. You was funny when you said that. And so I can smile a little bit more now, but that's why when you say the things that you jump into, I like to watch comedy and comedy specials to laugh, to to remove me from what's actually happening from the day. So,
But you know,
thank you for your service.
Thank you. Those moments that you just brought up, though, like with your mom, that'll make you smile. That's one of the reasons why I'm intentionally, when I'm with my parents, I take pictures. We do stuff just to make each other laugh and stuff like that, because I know down the road, heaven forbid, unless I go first, there's going to be that time where they're not here, and I want to have that moment where it's like,
it's important.
Yes.
Let me tell you
Yes.
what I have found out is that all you have is memories, because you don't get to make new ones.
nope.
Right.
And so you have to preserve and take care of what you have, and really be in the moment. So yes, take pictures, but also be present in the
Yes.
moment so that you can take in what that moment feels like.
Yes.
Sometimes people are so caught up in the phone and social media that they're not really present. So it's learning that balance of, being present and still capturing that moment to remind you, because you don't get to make new memories
No.
once the number has been called.
You don't.
All you get is reminders.
Right.
So as the years go by, it's the same pictures, it's the same reminders, it's the same memories, because you're not making new ones.
That's So my mom just turned 75.
That is amazing.
And I have this mission where I'm like, for their birthdays, I want to be present. I don't care what's going on. I have rescheduled trips. I'm like, nope, that's my dad's birthday or that's my mom's birthday. I got to be home. So I threw her a party. My mother never, usually gets celebrated like big grandiose style. And I wanted her to have that experience. And it was stressful, right? And like you said, not being present, I wanted everything to be right and perfect. And finally, my friends kind of calmed me down and made me pause and take it all in. And I was good after that. But it was looking at the pictures of my mom smiling. Like, I'm about to come to like tears right now, but it just showed me it was all worth it. It was so worth it. So.
And in that generation, they didn't typically get to have birthday parties or be celebrated in that way. It wasn't about them. My mother never had a party.
Right,
and so when she died, I threw her a celebration.
Yes.
And that was the party. She didn't want a funeral, and she was not about that. She wanted her flowers while she was living.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm about. Show people how you appreciate them when they can do something with it.
I agree.
Not when it's too late. So kudos to you for being able to have the wherewithal to step in with your dad and to even acknowledge that there's different phases of that. So I'm sure you're getting prepared for the additional phases, and then with your mother as well. Are there any, I know brother's going to ask you, any advice or anything, right?
Yeah, some nuggets. We usually like to share, for our listeners, little takeaways, This is the dessert portion.
Right, just the dessert portion. Yeah. Well, we kind of touched on it, but it's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not. You need to recharge, to refill yourself up, right? To be able to pour into everybody else. So there are times where I shut down, and my dad, if he's good, I'm like, hey dad, I'm staying in. And he's like, okay, cool, get your rest. And he even acknowledges and appreciates that. He'll say, I know you're doing a lot. So yeah, it's not selfish. I know as women, like you talk, and maybe men too, but we feel guilty if we stop and, stop helping for a minute, take care of ourselves, go get our nails done, go get a massage. You're like, oh my God.
Like what you said about the COVID vaccination.
Right.
You did it because you were concerned you wouldn't be able to take care of somebody else. Yeah.
Exactly. So, look out for number one. It's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
So.
The reality is you have to be able to fill your own cup.
Right.
Because you can't pour into others from an empty cup.
You can't.
That's the reality of it all. You get what's in the cup.
Yes.
And if bitterness is in the cup, you're going to get bitterness. Resentment's in the cup, you're going to get resentment. And so being able to take care of yourself.
Insecurity in the cup, you're going to get.
Well, you're going to get insecurity out the cup. But that's the thing. You really have to pour into yourself. And you have to be intentional. One of the things I always talk about with people is just being intentional about things in life at this stage.
Yes.
Because recognizing our own immortality will bring you to that place.
Yes.
A humble place.
Right. And we are now moving into the third and fourth quarters of our own lives. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so we really have to look at how are we going to play this game,
Yes.
at this point? Because in the end, we definitely want to win at this game of life. And so how do we get there? And we have to
And
be
I don't want to be
intentional.
on the bench.
Oh, no.
You hear me?
Not
I don't
at
want somebody
all.
else determining
Yeah.
how much playtime I get. So
Yeah.
we have to
Exactly.
be more responsible, and it's going to take some practice outside of practice.
Right. And that's why I'm at the point in my life where I'm trying different things.
Yay.
So comedy, the voiceovers.
Reinventing yourself.
I don't know what else is next, but hey, I'm open.
The voiceover, I mean, that the world in that is alone, because everything is going digital now. So
Right.
I can imagine you have a lot of different opportunities, maybe cartoons and then movies.
Right.
There's a few animations in there.
Really?
All right.
Oh, actually, I did a thing for Secret Life of Pets too.
What?
And that was
That's
early
amazing.
on. Yeah, it was one of their extras on the little DVR, like the little extra narration thing.
That's
but
okay.
still,
That's amazing.
Right.
it surprised me. I was like, this is interesting.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm just open, trying out different things, and it makes me happy, actually. It's self-care, too. Just trying different
Doing
things.
what makes you happy.
There you go.
And I encourage people to try different things.
Try it.
Now, I'm not saying jump out of a plane
No.
or anything like that or whatever. Because, my mindset is if the Lord going to call me, I'm not going to dial
See?
his number.
Hello.
You know what I mean?
I'm not
And-
picking up the phone and calling him first.
See, the
Right,
part y'all didn't
exactly.
ask is would I do it again. See, you didn't ask
Oh,
that. I
okay.
did it one time. I wouldn't do it again. I'm good.
All right. I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to take your word for it. You know what I'm saying?
I live vicariously through others.
Okay.
Exactly.
That stove
You know,
is hot.
Nope, not at all.
That stove is hot.
That's it. I would, I was that kid who I would get a beating every day, but it was for something different. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Something different.
He learned
'cause
his lesson.
I learned. You know what I mean?
A lot of lessons.
I learned from my sisters because I wouldn't get a beating for what they did. Because my thing is, I saw what you did. So,
He got creative.
See, he bringing
I'm
back
good.
the times where you could beat your kids. Now the kids got cell phones and stuff.
Listen.
You can't do it.
Well, they're made differently too, and every child doesn't need that type of discipline.
don't.
listen.
My child is one that doesn't need that type of discipline. You would say something to her,
You
and
got
she
that
will
look,
live.
Tamara. That's
I
why
have
you
many
got
a
that
look.
discipline look. Like
Many of looks, and
That's-
she has seen them all.
Lala, look at
you
my.
beat her with your eyes.
You hear what I'm telling you?
Lala got that. I know my mama crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, her mother is crazy and her father is touched, and she knows such. She's known at an early age that we don't play, but that doesn't mean I need to beat you. But we
Right.
will have a conversation. She gets so tired of me talking, she don't even want to hear me talk. She gonna make sure it's right before she approaches.
Exactly.
And so every child is different.
Yes, absolutely.
And we laugh too, so we're definitely. I'm going to
Exactly.
definitely have to connect with you so we can get some laughing
Yes,
going.
indeed.
Wow. Well, I tell you, our time has certainly come to an end today at the table, but we've had a great time. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And join us right back here next Sunday at the table on WHOV Smooth 88.1.
The essence of HU.
Keep you formed.
Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. I think they get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you.
Thank you for joining us at the table.
Tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. for more delicious topical recipes for life on the Sunday Brunch.
On Smooth 88.1 WHOV.